with your past, it'll pass.
And you are with the girl Rhea Ray Harris Yarbrough on today's edition of the Quintessential Queens. We are at IntellectualRadio.com, an iHeart radio station, and I am so grateful to be with you this Sunday. I have a special guest who we'll explain our background history in a minute. But just so you know, this show is not just for the queens out there. This is also for queens to inspire other women and men. We have some kings out there that pay attention. And we also accept men guests because kings can uplift and inspire as well. But that is the purpose of the show, to uplift and inspire a queen or a king that sometimes doesn't know that they can get through,
Mhm.
that they can accomplish, that they can achieve.
Mhm.
So that brings me to you, my lovely guest, Darnisha Evans. Say hello to your fans.
Hello, everybody.
And let's start with our background history. Darnisha is my pledged daughter through Sigma Gamma Rho. She was made in 1989. So, I was made before that. So it's been a long, long time. And she is the co founder and current president of Project Kennedy, the founder and CEO, is it,
Mhm.
of SMILE, which is an acronym that she's going to explain. But I want her to firstly discuss Project Kennedy, then we're going to discuss SMILE, and then we're going to discuss what we have coming up in 2024.
Mhm.
So, Project Kennedy is named after your daughter, Kennedy Parker.
Late daughter, yes.
Tell the audience about Kennedy and how Project Kennedy came to be created.
Well, Kennedy was my first daughter, my oldest daughter, and she was trailblazer. Nothing stopped that girl, and she did a lot of smiling. So she went to Homewood Flossmoor High School, then she went to Western, and then she came home and started Governor State to be closer to home. At the age of 21, she was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma cancer, what we originally thought was a toothache. And she started.
Tell what that type of cancer
That type of
is.
Ewing sarcoma is normally a children's cancer. Once you get into the age of 24, 25, they say you're kind of out of the woodworks, but we don't even know how long the tumor was there. So she could have caught it earlier than we knew. But it's a blood and tissue cancer. So it travels through blood and sits in the tissue. So it was sitting in her jaw, in the back of her mouth. Once she started her whole process, they had to, in order to remove the tumor, they took her whole jaw out, teeth and all, her right side, took the fibula bone from her left leg and reconstructed her mouth. She was cancer free for about a year and a half, and it came back in her spine and in her left arm. That's where it traveled to. She did 5 weeks of radiation, and she was going to start back to chemo, but by that time it traveled and it hit her back and her liver. And she, they couldn't do anything else for her.
In the midst
Mm-hmm.
between the initial diagnosis and her dying 3 weeks before her 25th birthday,
Mm-hmm.
what did she do?
She started, first, she just started collecting gift cards and things like that to give back to her nurses and her doctors, just as a thank you, because now when it came back, she was in a pandemic. It was in a pandemic. So she wanted to give them something as a thank you because they was the frontliners, as they called them. She also wrote a book, Cancer Picked the Wrong Trick, because she wanted people to see what cancer patients went through and their families. So it's not a book to just read, it's a pictorial. It's all photos of from beginning to the end of her first journey. Because when it came back, her second journey, she went silent. People knew it came back, but she didn't do a lot of documenting and a lot of talking like she did the first time because she was tired of it at this point. So within that time, she also started Project Kennedy, which is where the gift cards came into giving back, and then she would see other kids battling with no family members in the rooms with them because people had to work. And she just wanted everybody to be comfortable. So she would collect teddy bears and crayons and notebooks. And then Project Kennedy became what it is today, where we give out blankets and we have a tuition or a scholarship program to help with tuition. So one of her wishes was for me to keep her legacy going. So that's what I'm doing.
And two of the things that Kennedy did in that gap of time between the initial diagnosis and the reoccurrence, she became a member of the National Council of Negro Women,
Mm-hmm.
and she became a member of Sigma Gamma Rho. So she followed your footsteps and was a soror as well.
Mm-hmm.
And in the time frame, because Kennedy would call me sometimes, and we would talk. And when I knew something was wrong, I have to tell you all, my son is a week younger than Kennedy. So it was hurtful, not just knowing you and having been with you all those years, but in knowing that a young person this age, so close to my son's age, was fighting literally for her life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when the Beyond Beautiful World pageant was created, the National Philanthropic Arm was specifically for Project Kennedy,
Mm-hmm.
because there is no greater person, entity, that reflects part of the journey of the delegates that join that pageant system, which is my pageant system. So in Project Kennedy's existing now, you collect what? Funds, gift cards. I know I've put together a couple of blankets myself,
Blankets.
but what else? Because I know we've done walkathons.
Mm-hmm.
When people ask you, what do you need for Project Kennedy, what is your answer?
Oh, wow. It's not that we need everything because working with nonprofits, a lot of it is just the funding because we try to specify what we need from the hospitals. They will tell us, like the social workers, we partner with USC Health, Rush Children's, and Advocate in Oakland, their cancer center for pediatrics. So a lot of times we'll say, what do the family need? Instead of us just saying, gimme, gimme, gimme. So they'll tell us we have a family who need a Target card. A mom, I know a soror that reached out to me. Her son was battling stomach cancer, and she humbled herself because it's a humbling experience. She needed to go to Target across the street to get everyday, products for women because she can't get home. So we'll supply with gift cards. We just helped 11 families with boots, coats, hats, scarves, and gloves. So we help wherever we can, but the blankets is one of our biggest go getters. Everybody loves the blankets because we have them embroidered. Love Always Project Kennedy. I actually just met a young woman. I wish I had the pillow with me. I met her off TikTok, and she made these beautiful pillows for us. And they have affirmations all over the front of them. And they have a pocket. And inside the pocket is a combing kit. And there's a puzzle, a jump rope, Play-Doh. They have a notebook. They are beautiful. And so that's what we're giving for Christmas this year. And we also do, again, when funding comes, we supply families with gift cards so they can have a hot meal. It's hard to get hot meals delivered to the hospitals because of HIPAA and COVID and who's going to do
Restrictions.
all of that. So we just supply each family with a gift card so they can have either hot meal once they left from chemo or had something delivered that was packaged to the hospital.
As a mother who not once but twice sat through the extreme
Mhm.
treatment that Kennedy went through to repair and restore her, can you explain to the viewers and the listeners what it is like to be on that side, because I think people forget that, yes, we know that the person that is experiencing the illness needs support, but the people that are there, the mothers, the fathers, the grandparents, people seem to forget that they need support also. So, from your being in the hospital with Kennedy, what was going on in the real world that you couldn't even deal with?
Nothing.
You couldn't deal with anything.
Nothing. You literally, I've learned very strategically to shut my brain off. I have to. And to this day, I still use that technique. When it just gets chaotic for me in the world, I shut my brain off. Because at that time, I had my youngest daughter who was just going to college. So thank God she was at Columbia. So she would go to class and walk over to the hospital and spend time with us or spend a night there with us and go back home to the dorms because she was staying in the dorms on Michigan Avenue. So that was easy. But at the same time, my support system was so awesome that I really didn't have to worry about a lot of other things. I didn't. I didn't have to worry about my job. They were very supportive at the time, and they was like, "Don't even call here. We got you. Stay with your baby." They then started to let me work from the hospital room, so I really didn't. I wasn't missing out on much, but my family and friends, and I had such a I can't even explain my support system, which was why this is so easy for me to do for other families because I know everybody don't have what I had. And that was another thing Kennedy would say. Everybody don't have this. So that's our goal is to help those who don't have what we had. From parking, I didn't have I went online one day just as a joke when her second round came. And I said she has to go to the hospital every day all the way downtown for 2 minutes of radiation, 5 days a week, and park for $12. When I got to work the next day, I had an envelope on my desk with $100 in it that said pay for parking. And from there, people started just putting Zelling me money. I had about $1,200 when it was done. And people was like, don't send me nothing back. You all pay for parking. And I was like, wow, I didn't, but when you are good to people, people are good to you.
Yes.
And so that's what make all of this so easy for me. And when she was here for her to give back for those who can't. Everybody can't do what we did.
Does Project Kennedy deal with a particular form of cancer?
We did at first. We only dealt with sarcoma at first because I was so stingy and I won't because she had sarcoma, only the yellow ribbon, sarcoma. But it took my village, who was on my board at the time, to tell me, Darnisha, we know this is your baby, this is your thing, but you gotta go bigger. And I'm like, no, she had sarcomas. And then when my brain started to function properly again, we changed the logo to Project Kennedy Fighting Cancers of All Colors.
And by colors, you mean the ribbons?
All color ribbons, breast cancer. Even we pulled the men in 1 year, 1 year we dedicated the walk to colon cancer. So we pull the men in, pancreatic cancer. So we don't discriminate to whatever kind of cancer you have, especially the babies. Especially the babies.
So, for Project Kennedy,
Mhm.
if someone wants to contribute, volunteer, get more information, what is it that they have to do?
You can find everything on our website, which is projectkennedy.com. Doesn't get no easier than that. Projectkennedy.com. We have all of our information. We even have photos of what we do. We have media button of us being on Channel 7, Channel 2. Even when Omarion sent Kennedy a personal video because she was supposed to go see him in a concert and had backstage passes. Pandemic shut it down. So they arranged it for him to do a video for her. And it's a donate button. They can donate. We have a volunteer button. Whatever they need to do, they can reach Project Kennedy.
All right. And as a mother, continuing your daughter's legacy, what does that look like for you?
For one, I'm honored because she asked me to continue while on her deathbed. And then two, me, her, and Kaya wrote little notes one year on New Year's Eve, what we wanted to see happen that next year. And we was going to open it the following year. Well, she didn't make it. That was the year she passed. And I found that box. And one of her notes was, I want my organization to flourish. So God continues to give me confirmation that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So it feels good because I often tell people he could have gave this assignment to somebody else. And when she passed in my arms, when I started praising him, I told him, thank you, because you gave this to me. And now I have to finish out what me and her started at his request and hers.
And I have to say this for those of you that were not able to attend. When Kennedy's services happened, we were at the beginning stages of COVID. We were only a few months in, and we didn't know what it meant, how's everybody catching everything, etc. But I know I personally went to her services. And in the midst of all that confusion and uncertainty and fear, over 1,000 people still showed up. And to say that she had not turned 25 yet
Mm-hmm.
and still had that level of a response, she has touched more lives than most people that have lived 2 to 3 times her age have done.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes her more than a champion. And for you to be able to continue that legacy makes you more than one, too. Because despite the heartache, the hardship, and the pain of it, you've maintained and you have expanded it so that it is now an expectation at certain hospitals.
Yeah.
They look for you to come in and make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't have to.
No.
You could have just laid down on the bed and collapsed and let it be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first clap for my pledged daughter. Now I want you to segue into SMILE. Firstly, what does the acronym stand for?
Me and Kennedy actually came up with this one day driving. I will never forget it on Halsted. And I said, I'm going to say a word and then you give me the letter of the first word. And we ended up with SMILE. And I said, it stands for She Made It Look Easy.
And what is it?
The process, the day-to-day process of what, because I still get people tell me, I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you do this. And I'm very close to one of our surgeons to this day. And sadly, he lost his father to cancer. And it really, put him through because you're helping people every day with cancer. And then your father passes. And he called me for support. And he's like, I hate to bother you, of all people, Darnisha. He said, but I don't know how you do this. His dad was in his 80s. He's like, he's lived this long life. He said, but I'm struggling. How will you do this? The grace of God.
What is that poem? I want to say it's called Footsteps,
Mm-hmm.
where,
He's carrying.
yes, people are talking to Jesus.
Mhm.
And he's like, well, there's a point where I see 2 sets of footsteps, and
Mhm.
there's a point where I only see one. And as Jesus tells him, that's when I was carrying you. Because there are times where it's immensely difficult. It's difficult to a level that you can't even articulate.
There are days that I forget. I forget, and it bothers me because I don't want to forget anything. I don't want to ever forget her or any moment I had with her. So I will call when I saw her, Stacy. She was at the table, and I will say, "What happened on this day?" Because she was in the hospital with us when Kennedy transitioned, and she she'll take a breath and she'll tell me what happened on that day so that I don't forget.
Because it is easier
Mm-hmm.
some days to forget,
Mm-hmm.
because to relive it is a lot.
It is a lot. And I've closed, as my therapist said, because I had a lot of therapy for this. And one of my therapists told me, out of the four therapists, um, you won't open the hospital door. And I said, I'm not ready. And he kept trying to push me. He's like, Darnice, you have to go back. Go back to the hospital and start remembering. And I said, no. So it's a lot that I forgot about, and it's a lot I don't want to think about because it takes me all the way back. But I just, one day at a time.
And it's still a process.
It is a process.
So with Smile, she made it look easy, or is it makes?
She made it look easy.
It should be makes, because it's still, you still are going through making it look easy. What is the quote unquote business side of that? It's a very nice acronym, but what does that mean? What are you doing with it?
Because I take my experience and I give it back to women, especially moms who had lost a child, because everybody don't get it. Everybody don't get it. It's black and white. She had a baby and it passed. But to feel it and go through it, and my journey, I think, is so unique that I almost look at it as a blessing, because I could have gotten a phone call, being at work or at the store. She could have been somewhere and something happened, but God made it so I was there to hold her hand through the whole process. And then for her to go in my arms, and I always say it's a blessing because I said it at a funeral. I was the first person she touched coming into this world, and I was the last person she touched when she left. Not a lot of parents who lost their child get to say that.
Firstly, just dealing with the perspective of a parent losing a child,
Mm-hmm.
because one year it was on my mind, and I don't even know why, but I actually went down a list of everyone that I knew who had lost a child. It was longer than I thought. And I was so sad that day,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, that's a life changing event
Mm-hmm.
to the extreme.
Mm-hmm.
This is not, I bungee jumped, in Dubai somewhere. This is, I brought a person into this world that was attached to me before anything, or as a father, you know, this is my baby,
Mm-hmm.
and that baby's no longer here. So it takes a different type of strength,
Mm-hmm.
a different type of understanding, a different type of reality. And as much as I empathize, it's a whole different thing versus walking the walk.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in speaking to women who have, and men who have lost children, and you've actually walked that walk, what has the impact been?
Hmm. For one, it's a club that I always tell people you don't want to be a part of. Um, the the impact is, again, I stand on, it was different for me because I didn't lose her and go silent. I have my moments even to this day where I just don't want to be bothered. I don't want to talk. I don't want to go anywhere. Just let me be because I process still. But because I think the way that God is putting me out there, people are using me as a tool. So this is new to me because now it has become my purpose. No matter what I'm going through, I can turn it off to help somebody else and get back to me later. So it's not, written anywhere, or it's not an outline for this. It's just what happens is going to happen.
Now, for the people that are new to your Smile
Mm-hmm.
business, we have something to discuss today. Earl, the producer extraordinaire who is here, has known me now for over 10 years. It's been over 10 years. So he knows I can be pushy.
No, not you.
Not me, no, never me. But when I see and I know that someone has a gift,
Mhm.
that's one of the things that God has put in me is to encourage them to next level
You don't
that
encourage, you
gift.
scare. You
Whatever, however you want to put it.
okay?
But we had talked. I had come by your home and we
Mm-hmm.
had sat down and talked, and I'm like, okay, what you doing? What you doing with this? Because I knew that you had started Smile,
Mm-hmm.
and then I didn't hear anything else. And I was like, okay, I know I'm not around all the time, but typically I hear something.
Mm-hmm.
And in our conversation, we made a decision, or maybe it was I made a decision and dragged you along as usual,
You did.
to have a holistic event in July of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are we calling the event? Luke 1 and 45,
45. Mm-hmm.
because that speaks about women.
Mm-hmm.
And we are actually going to have 5 speakers, one speaking on mental, which is Darnisha, one speaking on emotional, which is me, and we have 3 other speakers that are going to deal with financial, physical, and spiritual transformations. So, what I'm so excited about, firstly, is for us to, beyond our sororital connection, beyond our personal connection, to have an event that is going to be life changing for some people as well as for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But to put this out there so that women know that there is a balm in Gilead. There is a balm, because people always say things, they don't really understand what that
Mm-hmm.
means. There is a healing, but to be healed means you have to have been hurt first.
Yes.
And the women that are going to be on that stage are women that are going to speak about the light after the darkness, the light that was in the darkness. Because if you don't believe, now we say Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
others say Allah, Buddha, higher power, the universe, whatever it is you're saying. But if you don't have believe in something greater than yourself
Mm-hmm.
that is shining a light for you to follow, or shining a light for you to get out of the darkness, or shining a light to what your future should be, I really wonder how you live. Because I have no power to say that I've created my own everything. You know, people are like, I'm a self made person. I'm not a self made person, I'm a God made person.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, any accomplishment I have garnered has been through Him.
Mm-hmm.
And any mistakes I've made have been on me.
Wow.
So I'm excited that we're going to be on the stage. You're going to hear more about it as we get closer to the date. We're going to be on that stage in July, giving people, it's not a women only event, but there will be women speakers, all women speakers, an understanding of it was hard
Mm-hmm.
and we made it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the favorite books I have in the Bible is Daniel, I want to say it's chapter 3, about Shadrach, Meshach,
Shaking
and
the Bendigo.
Abednego, and how they were in the furnace, but they were not being burned. Well, I'm going to say I was scorched a little bit. I've been scorched a little bit. I'm going to say it now, but I was not burned.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been scorched way more than me.
And my favorite book is Job.
That's another one.
When I tell you to have lost, well, I didn't lose everything, but my firstborn, that was enough for him to have taken from me, but yet still be able to praise him and pray and depend on.
And stand on it.
Yes.
Because it's one thing to you can make your mouth say anything.
Yes.
It's another thing to, for sure,
Mm-hmm.
walk that walk. See, where is it? I wear this almost every day. It's Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Because that's the reality that I've lived, even when I didn't know I was living it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at your journey, when I look at other women's journeys, who some of them are a little more silent,
Mm-hmm.
some of them are speaking way loudly, but I know that there is a gift, not that we have just because we have it, but the gift that God has given us to put out for the benefit of others,
Mm-hmm.
because it is quite easy, and in some cases preferable personally, to remain silent and just keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not and this is a word I hate, and this is something I should put on my let's leave it in 2023 list, the word assignment. I can't. They understood the assignment. That drives me bonkers. But anyway, there's that understanding that your story is not just for you.
Exactly.
There's somebody out here, because this is a part of the Phoenix Rising testimonials for the delegates of the pageant that they're told every year. Someone is going to hear your testimony that you will never see, and it will change their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Now, through social media, sometimes you will meet up with a person and they'll tell you later. But there's a possibility that there's someone sitting in a dark place experiencing something very similar to what you're speaking on, and yet you're on stage, and yet you have defied the odds, and you fell down 7 times, but you got up 8. And that person can see, not hear about a story about it, but can see the person in the flesh that has accomplished this and say, let me hold on to God's unchanging hand and have him bring me out of the darkness into the light that he shined through that person. Because the light that we shine is not our own
It
light.
is not. And it's funny you say that because somebody in Kennedy's family, and I say that because she has a father side of the family, actually called me and asked me, why am I on Facebook telling our business? Because, we
What business is this?
her journey. She used to do the lives with me on Facebook.
Yes, I know.
And they're like, they have groups that, you can sign up for and share personally. And I said, so after I block you, let me tell you this, right? This is not for us. We're going through this for someone else. Whether she make it or not, this whole thing is not about us. But they were embarrassed. They felt we were putting a business out there. Go ahead on. Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that you should know about me is that, and I've gotten better as I've gotten older, is my mouthpiece works strong.
I know. I mean, I came through Marsha Evans, but yet long you became my
Yes, my mouthpiece is strong. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad you didn't tell me that at the time. I'm rubbing my hands together now.
And I'm scared because you already dressed.
Yes. I would have let that person know all about.
I did.
Baby. No, you did not. Because I would have moonwalked a whole row of fire in that person's backside for that. You did not. And you probably didn't for a reason, because you know what I would have done.
I know.
But to keep this PG.
Yeah.
And we're on live. I don't want Earl, disciplining us later. You don't have the right. No one has the right to censor someone else's story.
Exactly.
And you don't have the right to talk about spreading our business when it isn't your business. It is her business and your business and the lives of Kennedy and Darnisha. That is the Kennedy and Darnisha show. It's not yours. When it's your show, your name is on it. And I hope that person is somewhere listening, because if they are, let me say this to you.
PG.
I have to breathe a little bit. Let me breathe. sometimes it's better to keep your mouth closed because everybody does not need your opinion. When God shuts somebody down, he'll take care of it. He doesn't need you to handle that.
He needs no help.
Thank you. Have a good day. God bless your ministry.
They don't have a ministry. That's the sad.
They got a ministry, the ministry of the mouth. They got a ministry. God bless it.
Okay.
For the folks that knew me in the 80s, y'all know this is a struggle for me to not go back to 1980
Yes.
and be that person. And sometimes I am anyway, because that's what some people have coming, because that's what they understand. But for the people in almost 2024, we're going to say it this way. Everyone has a truth. And those truths can be inspirational.
Yes.
And so in July of next year, our mission, our goal, what God has given us is the time to put our truths out there so that somebody else's soul can shine. So for ladies and gentlemen, keep your ear to the ground because we will discuss it. We will be back soon to let you know the particulars. But we are definitely about the business of changing lives the way God would have us do, the way he's shown us to do it. Not talking about it, but being about it.
Exactly.
So if someone wants you to speak to their group as the founder, creator, and CEO of Smile, how do they contact you for that?
Project Kennedy.
Okay, so there's a contact us page.
They can reach.
So use the projectkennedy.com website for Project Kennedy and to reach Darnisha for Smile. And get ready, because when we come with this speaking engagement, Luke 1:45, it's going to be epic.
Yeah.
2024 is the year of being epic. And that's what he's called for us to do. So with that, for all the queens out there and the kings, we are so glad that you tuned in to the Quintessential Queens show with a real queen, Darnisha Evans, and your host, Rhea Ray Harris Yarbrough. We will see you next week.
We coming
New
back.
topic. You may come back. Don't make me have you come back.
Okay.
But because it's Kaya's birthday, you won't be back.
Okay.
That's the only reason.
Oh,
But
thank you, Kaya.
yeah, thank you, Kaya, for rescuing you. But I'll be back with a new king or queen next week to uplift you, to excite you, to inspire you, to let you know that there's a mission for you. And what did I used to say for the Straight No Chaser show? Earl, you don't remember it? Dedicate yourself to the truth, no matter the cost. Peace and blessings in the name of Jesus. Have a great Sunday.